Heyo and welcome back to Wonderlands gamers. In today's video we're going over 5 must-have legendaries to have at level 40 Chaos 20, and trust me, if they work at Chaos 20 they slap a base level 40 for both bossing and bombing situations, and generally all characters. A few characters will shine with a few particular pieces of gear, but they work really well on all characters. The first one on our list is the Liquid Cooling Pistol by COV/Skulldugger. It can come with different prefixes or suffixes, quite a few of them. But it's always a cryo-locked weapon, so you can't get any other elements or non-elemental versions of it. And it's definitely my probably top 3 favorite weapons, and probably my strongest weapon so far. It carried me all the way to Chaos 20 and still works really, really well in both mobbing and bossing situations. And I don't think I've heard of a single person, once they have this weapon, that they're not currently using their build. So I'm pretty sure it works extremely well on all characters at the moment. It can come with 2 different variations, a ×1 or a ×2. The ×2 does eat up more ammo, but is definitely a lot stronger, and the one I would recommend you guys getting. It also does have a really cool ability. If you hit critical hits with this thing, it actually reduces the cooldown so that you can actually shoot forever. So usually with Skulldugger pistols, the longer you shoot, it heats up and then eventually breaks, and that's like your reload animation. This completely negates it if you hit critical hits. If you start spraying and missing some shots, it'll start to heat up, but as soon as you start hitting critical hits again, it'll cool all the way back down to 0 heat. And you can do that forever, particularly if you're on Stabbermancer and you can just use from the shadows, hit constant critical hits. You can empty the mag from full ammo capacity all the way down without reloading once. The red text, by the way, reads, "Works great until it doesn't." I don't know that reference off the top of my head, but if you guys do know, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys would like this one for yourselves, I've heard the dedicated drop. I haven't confirmed yet, but I have heard it is the Obelisk boss in Cracked Mask Cove, but farming those kind of extremely long. So instead, it does drop from the world drop system, meaning you can get it from pretty much any enemy in the game, but I'd highly recommend you guys trying to get it at the end of the Chaos Chamber. It drops pretty frequently in there. I think I've got like 3 or 4 today alone from actually not that many runs. I do have pretty high loot luck chance, so if you guys don't, I would highly recommend going for that as well via like the lucky dice. We have guides for that on the channel. There's a lucky shrine. Just go up the Chaos Chamber, increases your loot luck chance. Just run those as much as possible, and then hit up the Pistol Rabbit. He'll drop these pretty frequently, at least in my experience, and then try and go for that ×2 version. Up next, we have the Masterwork Handbook. Again, prefixes and suffixes can change, but this one is a non-elemental locked weapon, and it's probably my current favorite weapon in the game for bossing. For mobbing, you kind of either have to be cracked at accuracy or just be using from the shadows for Stabbermancer. But either way, I think it's a really good weapon for bossing for any character, as long as you can hit critical hits. As you can see by the card, it hits like a truck, 2,000 damage upwards per shot, and if you can find a chaotic version or a volatile version, it's going to hit even harder, but it only has 1 bullet in the mag. But if you hit a critical hit, it ricochets to 6 other enemies and puts the bullet back in the mag for you, just kind of like the King/Queen's Call from Borderlands 3, which was definitely a personal favorite of mine. It doesn't have quite as cool an animation, but still definitely hits as hard. The passive at the bottom is one huge thing to note if you guys are going to go farm this weapon. The one that I have is the one you guys want. Each shot stuck in the enemy increases damage by 3%, and the bolts last for 3 seconds that are stuck in the enemy. That increases damage, the one that I have, but you can roll it so it increases melee damage for 3 seconds, which is kind of useless. You don't want that. You want the one that increases damage. The red text for this one reads, "Mercy like a gun," which is apparently a song reference, which I didn't actually know the reference, but apparently that's what it's from. And if you guys would like this drop, you can get it from the dedicated source, Captain Swallow, who's actually a boss for the Shrine of Grindana. The door actually right next to the shrine itself. I'll show it on screen so you guys can get it. Just you have to do the entire encounter, get the bosses spawn, and then farm them. So that can take a little while. Otherwise, I would recommend, again, this does drop in the world drop system, and you can get it from the Chaos Chamber if you are, again, just, running in loops, getting a bunch of crystals, and then farming the Pistol Bunny at the end. This is where I got my chaotic, and I think I've had 2 or 3 other versions. It's definitely not as common as the liquid cooling, but that is how I got mine, and probably a lot quicker than farming the shrine boss. Our third legendary is Gluttony of the Kaaba. Again, prefixes, suffixes can change, but this one is a dark magic lock weapon and is a huge Full Metal Alchemist reference, which is a banger TV show if you haven't watched it. Gluttony is a character from the show whose face is literally designed on the gun. The red text reads, "Equivalent exchange." The show is about alchemy, and that is the #1 rule of alchemy. And also, the gun is a dark magic lock weapon, which is like half the theme of the show. The gun comes in a ×1 or a ×2 version. The ×2, again, consumes more ammo but does more damage. And when you throw this thing, it explodes on impact like most meteors, but also has like a little dark hole, vortex-looking tornado type thing that just ragdolls all the enemies, brings them in close, and spins them around, whilst also having a bunch of red blades that spin around doing more damage as well. And again, it being a dark magic weapon, it actually heals you for a percentage amount of the damage done, which is really, really good for pretty much any character, but particularly Greyborn because he buffs so much dark magic damage. But to be honest, any character can build around dark magic, which is really cool. If you guys would like this one for yourselves, I don't currently know where the dedicated drop is, unfortunately. I don't think anyone does. I searched everywhere and couldn't find it. If you guys do know, let us know in the comment section down below. I would love to know. I'm sure other people would as well. But it also does drop in the world drop system, so you can get it from anyone and or the Chaos Chamber. And I've already sent you on a hunt for 2 pistols. I may as well send you on a hunt for 3. You have a pretty good chance of getting at least one of them pretty quickly. Next up, we have the frying pan. Yes, there is a frying pan in this game, and it's fantastic. Prefixes, suffixes can change. Elements-wise, I've seen non-elemental, I have seen fire, and I have seen poison/corrosive. I would assume it rolls in the rest, but I haven't personally seen it. Let me know which ones you guys have seen just to confirm in the comments section for everybody what rolls it can come with. This thing is fantastic, not particularly if you're just trying to build a melee damage build. It's probably mid-tier when it comes to damage output, but it has a fantastic ability. Reduce bullet and projectile damage from the rear by 90% while holstered. So if you just have this thing equipped, not even really using it, it's just equipped in your melee slot, you're taking 90% less damage from the rear, which is pretty often in things like the Chaos Chamber when there's enemies coming at you from all directions. Also, frying pan while melee attacking. So if you're actually swinging, you gain 90% chance to reflect, not just reduce damage, to reflect incoming bullets back at enemies, which is insane. And a 15% chance while holstered. So you have that at all times, 15% chance to reflect the bullets back at enemies, which is fantastic for just damage reduction, damage output to other enemies, and that's particularly huge for any skills or enchantments that need you to deal damage to increase a particular ability. That's literally doing it for you without you even having to shoot. I'd also recommend going for the passive on any melee weapon. Melee attacks deal 10% of all non-melee damage dealt by the Fate Maker over the last 10 seconds as bonus damage. That is huge. If you're doing a ton of gun damage, if you're in mobbing situations, you take out like 5 dudes, just smack the 6th guy, he's getting 1 shot. Or in bossing situations, if you've just run out of bullets, go for a melee attack. You're doing a good chunk of the amount of damage you've done in the last 10 seconds as bonus melee damage, on top of whatever melee damage buffs you already have. The red text reads, I think I'm getting the hang of this, which I believe makes it a Tangled reference, because I think the guy's name's Finn in the show says that when he starts using a frying pan as a weapon, which is kind of hilarious. If you guys want to get this one for yourself, I again do not know the dedicated drop. Unfortunately, it might be one of the ones that's only a world drop system kind of thing. If you know the dedicated, let me know again. Otherwise, world drop system, you can get it from pretty much anywhere. I've personally had like 10, 15 of these things. It has a pretty decent drop rate, or I might just be getting super, super lucky. But yeah, look out for it. You can get it in the Chaos Chamber if you guys want to go for some melee weapons. This might roll, or I just get it pretty frequently just from random enemies. And our final must-have legendary today is probably the most must-have out of the entire list. It is the Buff Meister. You've probably already heard of it if you watch any other YouTube videos, but if you haven't, this thing is amazing. Let me introduce you to it. It is a spell. Again, prefixes, suffixes can change, but all elemental types can roll on this spell. Essentially, what happens is you proc the spell. It doesn't really do any damage to the enemies. I think there's like a small nova that doesn't do a whole lot. But what it does instead is increases your damage of all types and adds another element to it. So if you're using a fire one, it'll add elemental fire damage to whatever weapon you're using, regardless of what it was, whether it was a non-elemental, cryo weapon, etc. It'll add on an extra bit of fire dot to that damage. Now it says direct damage dealt by 171. That's cap. It is way higher than that, and I don't know what the scaling is as you got the chaos tiers, but it is really, really good. It's practically an action skill in itself. For example, I'm currently playing Stabbermancer with From the Shadows. If I go into that ability, I hit constant crits, and that's like my huge damage moment if I'm trying to take on a boss really quickly or stuff like that. If that ends, and I then use the Buff Meister, I pretty much get round 2 of my action skill, because that's how much it's buffing my damage. And in some situations, not even kidding, it does more damage than my action skill. With the rolls I have, the spell lasts anywhere between 8 and 11.5 seconds, and the shortest cooldown is currently 27.7 seconds, which I'm sure we can improve by getting chaotic and volatile versions of them. I just currently don't have them. The red text reads, ah! So that's probably just a reference to any movie where anybody screams ever. If you guys would like to get this one for yourself, apparently it's only in the world drop system. There's no dedicated source apparently, so you'll have to get it from the Chaos Chamber or any random boss as a random world drop. Again, I would highly recommend going Chaos Chamber and farming the bunny that drops spells if you're going for just this, because it'll be way more efficient farming just spells versus any of the legendaries that could possibly drop from a random boss. And those are my first must-have legendaries in Wonderlands. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash subscribe on the way out, because apparently 90% of you aren't subscribed. And if you enjoyed the videos, want to help me out, that would be much appreciated. And other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Catch you guys in the next one. Till then, adios.